Hey guys, I'm Chris Vandivort. I'm a third-year resident at University of Wisconsin. I'm here to talk about beating the in-training exam. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm going to warn you, we're going to move a little quickly because it turns out condensing a comprehensive board study plan into 5 minutes is a bit of a challenge. So the in-training exam targets the expected knowledge and experience of a third-year resident. It is 225 questions over 4.5 hours, and it's basically the pseudo boards we take during residency. It is 4.5 hours of multiple choice fun. So my intern year, I figured, okay, I'm going to build this brick by brick. I'm going to study a little bit every day. I'm going to do the weekly Tintinelli readings that we're recommended to do, and I'm going to do 10 Rosh review questions every day. I figured that if I built my knowledge base slowly, things would go great. The only problem with this plan is that it completely didn't work out at all. Our program actually gives us a de-identified graph to show where we rank up when we get our scores back, and mine looked exactly like that. There was me at one end, everyone else at the other end, and I had done horribly, easily the worst in the program. So that was a bit of a bummer. I'd gone through all the trials of intern year, and there I was at the very end trying to take my victory lap, and I discovered that I was unfortunately way dumber than everyone else in my program. And so I'll be totally honest and say that following this, I had some dark thoughts. I thought, okay, I'm just probably going to be a terrible doctor, and unfortunately it sounds like everyone else in the program is way smarter than me, and it was honestly kind of embarrassing because the truth is, I actually studied, and it seems like nobody else did. But as time passed, it occurred to me, maybe it's not that I'm stupid, maybe I just prepared wrong. So I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to beat this test. I'm going to study less. I'm not going to spend money. I'm going to learn about learning, and then I'm going to apply that to a board's attack plan. A year later, in this beautiful scene with jubilation, as you can see on this picture, I actually did really well. I got a top 1% score. And of course I'm kidding, the lighting in our hospital is not that good and absolutely nobody cheered. But I did do really well and was encouraged to talk about my board's attack plan here. So I'm going to start off with actually my #1 most recommended book, I Love Mindset by Carol Dweck. This book delineates the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, and I definitely had a fixed mindset. My I failed, I'm dumb response is like classic fixed mindset, whereas instead we should look at failure as an opportunity to improve. This was honestly a light bulb moment for me when I read this book. My second thing is that I decided to get gritty, another one of my favorite books. Grit is passion plus perseverance, and it has more to do with success than intelligence, so I decided to get mad. That was my passion. I also decided I was not going to quit. Third, and maybe the functionally most important thing, is the use of deliberate practice, which is a learning technique in which you are always at the edge of your comfort zone, you focus intensively on what you're doing, you respond to high-quality feedback, and you target specific goals. Functionally, I think this is probably the most important way to improve at any skill, and it's much more important than logging your 10,000 hours. So that's actually the framework I use to approach pretty much any challenge now. I use failure to fuel growth, I get gritty, and I practice as deliberately as I can. But since we're here to talk about the boards, let's get into a few more board-specific things. And the first one is periodization. So elite athletes use the concept of periodization, which is altering their training at different times of the year to emphasize different goals and peak at the right time. Newsflash, you guys are the elite athletes of emergency medicine, and we should be doing the same thing. We should be doing boards prep just before the boards, and we should peak at the right time and literally ignore it during the rest of the year. We also need to focus on retrieval and recognition learning. Think about a multiple choice test. The answers are literally right in front of you. All you have to do is recall the information and then identify it on the test. So we should be practicing that skill, and that means we have to use resources that are effective for this. And here's this crazy slide that I did. Don't read Tintinelli. Don't read Bro. It's not an effective way to learn for the boards. It's not giving you feedback. It's not at the edge of your ability, and it doesn't promote retrieval and recognition learning. We need to be using question banks and flashcards as our primary resources. I also think that if we're going to study efficiently, we should just recognize that in residency, we can't do that every day. Some days, we just don't have it in us because of tough shifts or night shifts, and we should go play basketball or sleep or something, because forcing it then is not going to allow you to practice deliberately and with focus. Just go have fun. We also need to recognize that multiple choice testing is a skill, and we should practice that skill deliberately. You know when you're Jedi mind tricked into picking the wrong answer despite the fact that you know the information? Identifying those questions and figuring out how they tricked you is a skill that you should be training. As a few bonus techniques, we all know about using mnemonics and spaced repetition. You can prime yourself the morning of the test. And then I added this terrifying Anthony Hopkins picture just to mention memory palaces, which were kind of popularized in those books. I can't teach you the whole technique in the 20 seconds that I have for this next slide, but I do recommend reading Moonwalking with Einstein. It's actually a fantastic book where you can learn more about memory palaces. It's probably the most effective human memory device that leverages our phenomenal spatial memory from our hunter-gatherer heritage. And I have used it. But so to put it all together, embrace your growth mindset, get gritty, practice deliberately, practice retrieval and recognition learning, use periodization for a peaking strategy, use good resources, only study when you can bring your A game. And then if you want, you can harness some bonus techniques to harness your brain's abilities. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Great talk. As a resident myself, I can relate to a lot of the feelings, emotions, and I also feel the same way about the ITE as well. And I really do appreciate the things that you kind of talked about that are just beyond just like study, which is kind of what a lot of people talk about. Thank you.